Hello, and welcome back to another doujinshi reading from White Album 2. Today we're reading a pretty interesting one in that, well, it is a doujinshi and it is a story about Kazusa and Setsuna here, but it's also the author's trip to Vienna and experiencing all of the things that Kazusa, Setsuna, and Haruki experienced when going overseas outside of Japan. So he went on this trip, he took this trip and then took a bunch of pictures and then inserted the characters into those places as a story. It's a really, really cool and unique idea here. So here is the cover. The cover is drawn by Enna. If you've read or watched my other videos of Ushineko's works, these two often work together. The style of Enna is really distinct here with Kazusa and Setsuna. Almost has the old school anime eyes, really, really big pupils, but really nice coloring. Really adorable full color cover here. A nice fashion, by the way. So this is a trip for two plus baggage. Kazusa and Setsuna visit Strasbourg and Vienna. And baggage here is kind of a play on words because they have a heck of a lot of baggage in more ways than one. So, a trip for two plus baggage, Kazusa and Setsuna visit Strasbourg and Vienna. An after story for Kazusa's ending in White Album 2. And this goes after Kazusa's true ending. So at this point in the story, although I don't feel like the doujin highlights it very well, if you read through all the way to the end, it is revealed that this is Kazusa true. So you can expect Kazusa and Haruki to be together at this point. The text is written by Ushineko, illustration by Enna, and editing by Dudo no Gakushidan. This short story follows Kazusa Toma's ending from White Album 2. If you have not played the game, be aware that this story may contain spoilers. Obviously, as does any doujinshi, really. So first, we have a Strasbourg sightseeing map, and this is an actual tourism map, as you can see the link above. So this is not written in English or Japanese, but it does, you can see the landmarks. Even if you've just played the game, you can see the cathedral there. You can see the square area. You can see where the river is. So it's easy enough to figure your way around using this or showing it to a taxi driver and pointing at things. So kind of a neat resource to be able to see here. First, Strasbourg, December 20th, 2018. And what do you know? Here we are in Strasbourg. Applause, applause. What do you mean, what do you know? It's been 14 hours since you left Narita. I've dreamed about coming here with you, Kazusa. Wow, though, look at all these people. This Christmas market is the most famous one in the whole EU. There are tourists here from all over the world. You've been here in the winter before. You should know that. Yes, I suppose so. So we're starting right out with Kazusa and Setsuna. And just to kind of put this in perspective, a lot of Japanese novels don't make use of he said, she said. So here you don't see oh, Setsuna said happily. They don't usually use those in novels. You have to figure out who's talking through context clues. Which as a non-native speaker, even as someone who does speak Japanese, it's so confusing sometimes. But that's how the style of the book is going to be written. And you were here too. I believe you spotted a certain someone in front of the station. Chased after the taxi that certain someone was riding. Tripped. Broke the heel on one of your shoes. Twisted your ankle. Almost got frostbite. And kept following it anyway. Was that right? And then, putting that aside, let's head to our hotel first. Good point. I don't understand how Setsuna can be so chipper. Granted, I don't know. maybe I'm just not the type of person that can look back on a traumatic event and be like, man, that was so funny. Oh my goodness. But okay, I guess she is. I guess that's a good point of her. We could get there pretty quickly by tram, but since we came all this way to be here, why don't we walk? Let's see. Right in front of the station is Rue de Maire Cus. Please forgive my pronunciation of all of these places, by the way. Which turns into Rue de Vingt Dux Novembre. So if we go straight along there... That guy I know took a taxi, but all he really needed to do was cross the Ile and cut through the old town like 2 kilometers. What kind of wimpy-ass legs? You know, if Haruki never took that taxi that night, I wonder if things would have advanced more quickly. I don't think they would have necessarily changed, but things might have happened more quickly. Now, I believe you just said something about putting that aside. Oh, yeah, I did. Why are you looking away? Oh, no, I'm... Setsuna, over here. Eat! Are you okay? Whew, that was scary. What a reckless bicyclist. Bicyclist? Is that a word? I always thought it was cyclist. People go crazy on their bikes here. Be careful. I was wondering why your eyes were darting around. You were keeping an eye out. It'd be no laughing matter if you got hit by one of those things and hurt the tools of your trade. Tools of your trade? Usually the term tools of your trade is referring to Kazusa's hands, but I guess she's talking about Setsuna's looks here. If that pretty face of yours got a scratch on it, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. Thank you. You're so dashing, Kazusa. I know. So cheesy. Oh, goodness gracious. I think that's a little bit out of character for Kazusa, but, you know. By the way, you're dressed awfully light, aren't you? Your trunk is on the small side, too. Well, I'm pretty used to traveling with all the performing I do. I've stopped wearing higher heels, too. I don't want to twist my ankle again. I feel like you packed late, too, though. For you. For you. Setsuna's the type to bring 1,000 different shoes and outfits and makeups. Presumably, I don't know. I did a lot of thinking about how to fit everything into one trunk. Europe has cobblestones everywhere. If it was too heavy, it wouldn't be able to roll very well. Call it a suitcase like a normal person, you old lady. Oh, gotta go through inspection. Oh, because of that terrorist attack on the 11th? Probably. Is that a submachine gun that the police officer is holding? Yeah. You never see those in Japan. It's kind of scary. Yeah. Whoa, are you okay? Kazusa? Oh, no, fine. I'm fine. And this is true. The first time I went to Europe and I saw the submachine guns, I was like, whoa. Like, that's pretty intense. In Japan, occasionally you'll see officers holding guns, but even that is pretty rare. Usually they just have batons. So... it could be a new cultural thing if you've never been there before. Bonsoir. Bonsoir, mademoiselle. Please show me your passport and the inside of your bag. Oui. Here, Kazusa, get yours out too. Oui. Merci. Merci beaucoup. Merci. Setsuna knows. She knows her French. Good for her. She's a quick learner. Whew, that was nerve-wracking. Phew, what? What's with that look? I'm just surprised you got so jittery while we were doing that. Shut up. That stuff is terrifying, and you know it. Well, not that there's a problem with it. Wow, so this is the Rue de Vingt Dux Novembre. Oh, that church over to the right must be St. Pierre le Vieux. You've done your research, I see. It's a Catholic church, but Protestants can worship there too. You know even more than I do, Kazusa. I've performed in churches a lot. I always make a point of checking both denomination and reverb. All the pretty display windows in the old buildings along this street are really nice. They must be overflowing with shoppers during the day. Cars don't drive on this street, but there are trams and bicycles, so be careful anyway. So here's the first of the examples of Ushineko's personal photos, which I think is a really, really cute touch for this. And you may have already noticed too that some of what Kazusa and Setsuna says ends up being a little bit out of character. They become very informational, almost like they're tour guides, because it is meant to be like an informational book about touring through these areas. But it is cute that they're the ones kind of leading us along on this. So on the left is the Les Églises Saint-Pierre-le-Vieux. I believe that means church, but I could be wrong. And then the tram that runs along the Rue de Vieux-Dux Novembre. So trams are an interesting sight if you're not in an area that has a tram or a streetcar or things like that. They're just cute to see and just to say that you've rode it once. Old St. Peter's. Aha! Iglesias does mean church. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, we can see a place, Kleber, coming up here. This was originally a military drilling ground around the end of the First French Empire, right? Very nice. Did you read about that in a book? I read the Tales series from Chukoshinsho before I came. Oh, those. Yeah, I've read those a long time ago. So, Kleber was a hero in the French Revolution who was born in Strasbourg. I don't know whether he was a hero exactly. The revolution started in 1789, and in the midst of that chaos, a ton of people were sacrificed over differences in class, status, faith, and race. Kleber was a soldier who allied himself with the French Republic after the Revolution and served in the suppression of the so-called Vendée revolt, which was a counter-revolution by the Catholic and Royal Army. Right. They say somewhere between 300 and 400,000 people died in the Vendée revolt, and most of them were peasants who were devout Catholics. Oh. So you see what I mean when it's a little bit out of character, like, maybe it's just my own characterization of Kazusa, but she would not give a crap about this. She'd be like, where can I go get the best sweets in this area? Like, she'd be that kind of tourist. I do not. This is more of like Haruki's shtick, right? Knowing all of the history behind a building, and then Kazusa would just be kind of like, I don't care, let's just go find somewhere to rest. You know what I mean? So these people who had suffered and struggled to overthrow the tyrannical House of Bourbon turned and started killing each other over tiny differences in their ways of life. I can't understand it, and I don't want to. I can see why. Yeah. Although, to modern French people, he's one of the central figures in the establishment of the Republic. So I guess he's a hero in the same way Napoleon is. He was assassinated in Cairo, which is a suitably tragic end. Assassinated? There are a lot of flowers and candles here. That'd be because it was right here in this square that the terrorist attack happened. Oh, wow, really? 5 people were killed, they said. I remember. And 13 were injured. I just can't comprehend it. No matter what kind of hatred or resentment might be burning me up, I would never think I'm going to kill people indiscriminately over this. That's a pointless way to live and a pointless way to die. And I don't want either. Yes, I definitely agree. So here is the statue, and this was the time after the terrorist attack. So A lot of people were there, bringing the flowers, bringing the memorials and the candles and all of that. So this is an interesting point in the history of the area that it made it into this book, because it was during the author's vacation. Not the attack itself, but there was the remembrance of. So in the picture below, we have the aubette, built from the remnants of a royal military garrison, as viewed from behind the Kleber statue. So really, regardless of what kind of guy this Kleber was, people are gathering here in this square, offering flowers and candles for those who were lost. And I think there's something wonderful about that. There is. Do you want to stop and say a prayer or something while we're here? Sure. By the way, didn't you run into Haruki-kun here? Sorry, that was a tacky thing to ask. You're right. He was sitting on this stone in this flower bed behind the statue of Kleber, looking at the aubette. Right here? Over there. What? That's where I was standing. Ah. Aww. When they were looking at each other. Not at each other, I guess. First Kazusa noticed Haruki, but this is the very place. So the thing about what they refer to as the pilgrimage, leaving Japan and going to all these famous sites, is that you want to take photos of the exact places in the game. And these exact places do exist, right? The same exact buildings, the same exact streets. Now, not all of it is one-to-one, and we'll read more about that later on. But the interesting part is you can be like, yep, this is where Haruki was standing. Despite it being an animated visual novel, they did use these real places, which is pretty neat. I had a feeling this might happen, but as I'm looking at you here at this spot, it's really kind of shaking me up. I'm sorry. I promise I didn't come here just to get some kind of revenge on you, Kazusa. Please don't think about it that hard. Well, I guess that's asking the impossible, but I get it. Let's head toward the cathedral now. And again, as I've said during my playthroughs and in a lot of other things, the main characters in White Album 2 like to torture themselves. They like to revisit the past because of their guilt. That's why Kazusa and Haruki ended up going back to that inn that the three of them went to. It wasn't just because they were looking for an inn. They just kind of wanted to revisit those feelings. They didn't want to let themselves be happy. And in a sense, I kind of feel like that's what they're doing now. Now, one could argue, no, they're just trying to bury the past and make new memories in the same place. I get that, but the fact that there is so much repetition in revisiting their trauma, no, they're absolutely hurting themselves over it. So looking at the cathedral with the aubette at one's back. Yeah. Here, turn around and walk toward the aubette a little. Now turn around again and look toward the Christmas tree on the left. Oh, is that the cathedral? That steeple visible above the buildings at the corner of the square? Yeah, and you can see it in the photo. It's kind of lit up way in the background there. You can even see a bunch of people taking pictures of it in the picture. You really got a whole encyclopedia in your head for this stuff. Well, all of it's interesting. I don't think there's anywhere in the heart of Strasbourg that has as many churches clustered together as this area, bounded in by the Ile River. To say nothing of the fact that you've got Catholic and Protestant churches coexisting in such proximity. A lot had to happen before they reached the point of coexisting, though. I'm trying to okay, what is the reading order for this one? All right, I think we're going down. Wow. I think this is actually Setsuna. She hasn't seen it before. Wow, this church is pretty big. Temple Neuf is a Protestant church. It was originally a Catholic church built by Dominicans, but There was a dispute during the revolution and it wound up becoming Lutheran. That's the one. Nope, that's Kazusa again. That's the one. Let's go. You get the showiest view of it by going down Rue des Grandes Arcades, passing in front of Gutenberg Square and entering from Rue Merciere. But right now, I say we head down Rue des Dominicains, pass by Temple Neuf, and take Rue des Orfèvres the rest of the way. Wow, this church is pretty big. All right, I think this is actually maybe a typographical error because I'm pretty sure that quote is not supposed to be there twice. I'd have to check my original. True. A bit like us. Is there something you're trying to imply? No. Whatever. Rue des Orfèvres is pretty busy too. All of the Christmas decorations are so beautiful. So if you don't recognize it right off, this photo here is a famous one for White Album too. It's been there on the title screen. It was there when Haruki and Setsuna were walking around. It is really beautiful, and especially during the Christmas season. Every single author who has taken this pilgrimage has recommended you go during Christmas just because you won't get the same vibes that the trio got during their time abroad if you don't go during this season, because it is such a festive season. There are so many new decorations. So here we're seeing key visual from the menu screen. Follow Rue des Orfèvres from Place Kléber to the cathedral, then turn around in front of the chocolate shop, Jeff de Bruges. Get some chocolate and then walk down the square. So here is a big one. Even if you're not into White Album 2, obviously I assume that's why you're here, but if you have friends or family, maybe you want to take on this pilgrimage, who don't know the game, they will still appreciate the cathedral. This is the Cathedral Notre Dame de Strasbourg. Absolutely gorgeous. Right? I had a feeling you would like this street. If you turn around in front of this chocolate shop, the view is really nice. It really is. I must not have come down this street when I was here the last time. I think I entered the cathedral square from a street with these lovely illuminated angels. I saw the cathedral face on. That'd be from Rue Merciere. Now we just cross Rue des Hallebardes and here we are. Look at that! It's got such an imposing presence. I guess. Last time, I must not have been looking very closely at it. At times like this, look only at me. Although she was dealing with a lot during that time, so. You were here Christmas Eve of 2012, right? Haruki-kun and I were here that day to attend the Christmas Mass at the cathedral. We had to come here separately because of work schedules. His train from Paris ran late because of the snow. My plane landed at the Strasbourg airport 3 hours late for the same reason. Neither of us was able to make it to the family mass at 5:30 that evening, so we planned to go to the late night mass together at 11. Plans which were disrupted by a foolish woman who decided to run through the streets of Strasbourg in heels in the middle of winter, tripped on the cobblestones, twisted her ankle all to hell, then got rid of the heels and kept running barefoot, nearly getting frostbite as a result. Indeed. Did you go to the mass alone? Oh, no, that is such a sad sentence, though. She doesn't even know. Like, despite all of the trauma that they caused themselves and caused each other, they don't know the full extent of every piece of it. They don't know every piece of the puzzle. They don't know the suffering that the other person suffered exactly. It's so sad. No, I couldn't exactly wander around in an unfamiliar city alone that late at night. Oh. I'm sorry to ask this now, after all this time, but did you know Haruki-kun was going to be here? You're right, this is a hell of a time to ask that. I didn't know. Did Yoko-san know? Beats me. She told me, believe me, this time I had no idea. But who knows? All she should have known was that the one interviewing me was from Kaio. Ah, destiny, maybe. I don't believe in destiny or miracles or any of that stuff. I don't actually think that Yoko knows. Despite all of her scheming, I do truly think that Yoko did not know. The only thing in my head was that I've been pulled along on Mom's winter vacation, and the plan was to go to that mass that you two wanted to go to. I didn't find out about the interview the next day until I was already on the train. Oh, wow. When Haruki got to the station, I coincidentally happened to be there too. That's all. I just spotted him getting into a taxi and started chasing after him before I really knew what I was doing. It was a mistake to wear those heels, low as they were. I wasn't used to them. A mistake, huh? After losing sight of him once, I happened to find him again in Place Kleber. Happened to? She says that her heels were low, but they were not. They absolutely were not. Even if you didn't use the game graphics, all of the merch graphics, which also show her broken heel, are huge. So I don't know what the heck she's talking about here. What, are you going to argue that it wasn't a coincidence? Say, are you hungry at all? Yeah. just stop talking about it. Let's just go eat, actually. Let's change the subject. Why don't we eat something? There's a famous restaurant around here. The Gertlerhoft. Kopout. That place basically exists for tourists. And what's wrong with that? We are tourists. Fair enough. I'm amazed to see a space like this underground. Apparently, this building has been around since the 12th century. It must have been where the clergy who worked in the cathedral lived, or maybe a vault, or a wine cellar. By the way, if you order schukraut, I'm going to laugh at you for being a tourist. Schukraut. I do not know what that is. So this is actual images taken by Ushineko at this restaurant. It's so cute. He decides to go to a restaurant. He takes these pictures and then he's like, all right, what if Kazusa and Setsuna went to this restaurant? The concept of this doujin is so cute. Oh. Look, I want to eat as much local food as I can. I'm going to have some beer. What about you, Kazusa? Don't drink too much. It'll go to your gut. But with a menu like this, you gotta have beer. Do as you like. I'm going with white wine. Also, just so we're clear, I'm not eating one bite of that sour cabbage. Sauerkraut. I love sauerkraut. It is definitely the type of thing that Kazusa would absolutely hate. And Haruki would refuse to give her a kiss or something until she finished it because it's healthy. There sure are a lot of couples here, though. Meanwhile, here we are, a pair of women with baggage. What do you mean, baggage? Sorry, maybe didn't need to say that one out loud. Oh, the baggage that they carry. Actually, though, this could be a perfect opportunity. Why don't we have a lesbian fling while we're here? Stop it. If you guys wanted to go down that route, you should have done it before all the heartbreak happened. 9. I'm going to shut that line of discussion down right now. There's a pretty high demand for it, actually. No getting meta either. Oh boy. I love the concept. I absolutely love the concept. But it is pretty meta. So in the pictures on the left, we have a general store display window in the cathedral square. So a heck of a lot of tourist items, and as you can see, a heck of a lot of holiday and Christmas themed items. So if you are making a pilgrimage, go get a little like Santa Claus, or go get a little snowflake, you know, something that fits the theme. All right then, let's just get to the eating part, like proper Japanese people. There definitely should be an L that should be like. Right. By the way, Kazusa, do you know where our hotel is? Let's see. If we go east from the northern side of the cathedral, go straight down Rue des Frères and cross the Pont Saint-Etienne, that should get us there. And then here is their hotel. The architecture, even of like not lower class hotels, but you know, unpresuming hotels, humble hotels, is still really, really beautiful in this area. And this is the Le Regent Contades. So, I'm not going to get into the next sentence because I really like it and I'm excited about it, but I think we will stop off here for now. Thank you very much for joining me on this doujinshi reading from White Album 2, the very interesting one where we learn a heck of a lot of history and a lot about the areas where the trio traveled when they left Japan. Thank you for forgiving my pronunciation, as I do not speak French or German, so it's a tough one. I'll be back with the next part shortly, so until then, hope you take care. See you!